Good morning from the beautiful Alexander Valley. It's nice early morning so we could get some wonderful sunshine, a nice cool, absolutely crystal clear day. We're very excited to be here making a video for the incredible event that's going to be taking place at the Wine Vault and Bistro with Chris Gluck and Chef Greg. We are so excited to be working with these two gentlemen. I met Chris 2 weeks ago and hopefully he's my new best friend. But we are actually going to head up on the mountain and talk about the individual vineyards that we are going to be tasting tonight. You'll get an idea of what this mountain is all about, and without further ado, I think maybe we should just head up onto the mountain. So we're going to start off with the 2019 Estate Sauvignon Blanc, and this first pairing is truly exciting for me. The cold smoked Alaskan butterfish with the tabbouleh salad is going to be absolutely sensational. And I really love the citrus vinaigrette.
Craig, I couldn't agree more. The pairing is right on. The tabbouleh salad is packed with fresh herbs that will only highlight the lovely herbal notes in the Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc has a lovely natural acidity as well as a mineral backbone that is going to pair lovely with the butterfish. Everything is then woven together with the citrus vinaigrette, and all of the flavors are going to be loud.
I could not agree more, and this is the kind of pairing that truly stands out. Generally, a vinaigrette might overpower the wine, and I'm really glad Chef Greg decided that the Mountain Sauvignon Blanc could actually stand up to it.
I agree. Sometimes pairing with vinaigrette is sort of scary because you don't want to overpower any one thing. But I think our Sauvignon Blanc has enough natural acidity. It will operate together with the vinaigrette to bring out the lemon and citrus notes, as well as have some other flavors of stone fruit that are really going to play well with the flavors of the dish.
So, can you tell us how the leafing and the vineyard management has such a huge impact on this Sauvignon Blanc?
Yeah, Craig, so it's all about controlling the amount of sunlight that hits the cluster. And so more sun gives you different flavors than less sun. So we'll do areas of the vineyard that are fully leafed, the clusters are naked and fully exposed to the sun, and then there's other areas of the vineyard that will leave really shaded. And the difference in the flavors translates into the winery, into the aromas and flavors that we get after fermentation.
So it's kind of like when we're doing the estate cab and the estate chard, you're using different vineyards to kind of get different flavor profiles. You're doing the same thing with the Sauvignon Blanc, so you get a full array of different flavors, and again, you have that incredible acid backbone.
It's a layer cake of complexity. You start in the vineyard with all the different complexity inherent from the site and the angle of incidence of the sunlight, then you change how much sunlight each area of the vineyard is getting, then you harvest it separately, you ferment it in different vessels. The sky's the limit in terms of building complexity.
And that's kind of the reason why people don't grow Sauvignon Blanc on a mountainside, because when you're hand doing everything on a slope that you see here, this is a big, big job.
Yeah, and I think each of our vines is touched about 5 times before the grapes are even harvested, from pruning to leafing or not leafing, to cane alignment. All of these different things are hand done, which is really special.
So with our Sauvignon Blanc, we get this incredible tropical flavors, and we get stone fruit. Again, is that all about the way the grapes are taken care of during the farming process?
A huge part of it is, and a lot of the flavors that we're getting from the stone fruit are inherent to the site. You can't create some of those flavors if they don't exist in the grapes themselves. We can only sort of unleash them in the winery.
So this next course with the asparagus vichyssoise and the herb crab salad and the preserved lemon creme fraiche will pair extremely well with the Sauvignon Blanc, but I think it's also going to pair really, really nicely with the Estate Chardonnay. Again, Chef Greg is putting a lot of confidence in the Estate Sauvignon Blanc and the Estate Chardonnay, pairing it with asparagus. I think the herb crab salad with the preserved lemon creme fraiche could not be more perfect for the Estate Chardonnay. Stacy, I know you were really excited about this particular pairing.
Excited, yes, and possibly slightly nervous. Every time you pair something with a wine with something very bold tasting like asparagus, you're running a risk. So Chef Greg, kudos to you for taking this risk. We want to sort of take the same risks with the wines that we produce, making bold flavors that are going to be memorable and work well with food. So pairing with asparagus is fabulous, and it's in season, so full steam ahead on that. In a creamy vichyssoise, the Sauvignon Blanc will go great because of its more grapefruit citrus forward notes with a strong mineral backbone. It's not as tropical. We'll get into the tropical with the Chardonnay, but the creaminess of the asparagus soup with the preserved lemon is really going to continue to brighten up that acidity and balance well with the lemon flavors of the wine. Bring in the sweetness of the crab and you get something to sort of cut that acidity. It's going to be great. For the Chardonnay, I think we'll move more to a sweeter sort of spectrum of things because you're getting more of those ginger flower notes and grilled citrus with maybe a little bacon fat. The crab again is going to be even sweeter tasting, perked up by the zip of the creme fraiche and the preserved lemon. Again, balancing the acidity. Wine is acidity, and so basically harnessing it with what you pair it with allows you to sort of let the dragon come out of the box.
Speaking about letting the dragon come out of the box, let's actually head up to our Broken Road Vineyard, which is the main vineyard source for our estate Chardonnay, and take a look around, and maybe you could tell us a little bit more about the wine when we're up there. So let's now focus on this next Chardonnay course. The Boudin Blanc sausage with Dijon mustard and chicken au jus and crushed potatoes, butter braised leeks, again, has some really big flavors to match up with. The sausage with Dijon mustard really rang my bell. Stacy, what are your thoughts on this pairing?
Craig, my bell is ringing incessantly as well. Boudin is a more mild sausage, more warm herbs like sage and thyme. And I think the Dijon here is really going to be the kicker. It's going to perk up the more mild nature of the sausage, potatoes, and leeks, and really match the acidity of the wine. The wine is, again, like I said, bringing the acid, but it's also going to present some sweetness and spice. This pairing seems like it would be great on a rainy spring day. Having leeks in the spring, Chef Greg, more kudos to you for using all these lovely seasonal produce items. Should be a fabulous pairing.
So we're now at truly my favorite Chardonnay vineyard on the entire mountain, again with fabulous Stacy. We're at the Broken Road Vineyard and we're at about 1,800 feet. They call it Broken Road because every year the road breaks from seismic activity. This is the main vineyard source for the estate Chardonnay. This gives it such a racy, incredibly high acid backbone, fabulous flavor profile, and it is blended with several other vineyards on the mountain. So Stacy, tell us why Broken Road is such a special vineyard and how Bear Point and Red Point add to the flavor components of the estate Chardonnay.
So Craig, yeah, all of our Chardonnays are unique in the way that they're located in different soils, and we talked a little bit about this when we were talking about the Sauvignon Blanc, but you get to build complexity with the sort of foundation material of the grape being grown in a place with a different soil or on a different rootstock or on being a different clone. That translates in the winery. We ferment everything separately, which is something that a lot of folks don't do. So we're able to sort of see what strengths are brought from each block. And when we assemble the estate Chardonnay, we dabble in each of the elevations and help bring forth the lovely suppleness that this mountain can provide with the power of the acid.
What I notice when I taste the estate Chardonnay is basically layers of flavor, and one of the master somms actually said it goes from subtropical to full tropical, but it's integrated as well as the oak and the malolactic. Can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, so all of our Chardonnays go through full malolactic fermentation, and we can do that because we do have so much natural acidity. We're harvesting at a sugar level that's not ridiculous, so our alcohol is in balance, and we're able to capture the natural acidity from the mountain. With that, we are diligent with our barrel maintenance, and we are stirring our barrels frequently to pick up that yeast back into solution and help make a creamy without being a buttery flavor profile.
I think one of the most exciting things for me about our Chardonnay is that we actually don't inoculate the wine. The yeast that's on the grapes that comes in from the mountain, which is unique, it's not found anywhere else in the world, makes a huge difference. And that's a huge risk, is it not?
It's a huge risk. You try your hardest to set yourself up for success, but sometimes the whimsical nature of some of our winemaking practices, like utilizing native yeast from the vineyard, really plays a huge part in creating that complexity. So some years, we're not able to harvest on exactly the day that we want to, and our sugar will creep up a little bit. Sometimes our fermentations take a little bit longer because we're not using a commercial yeast strain to conduct that fermentation. So it's a cool way to work in some secret sauce as well. A little residual sugar can help you balance out some of that acid again and really bring forth a texture that's really intriguing.
to me, this is one of the best pairings. Let's head on up to Rockfall, shall we?
Let's go.
So again, huge kudos to Chef Greg for this second Chardonnay pairing. The roasted tricolor potatoes and charred cipollini onions with crumbled blue cheese, the vegetable demi-glace, garlic Swiss chard. Stacy, this just makes my mouth water. The key for me is the blue cheese and the veggie demi-glace and with the garlic Swiss chard. It's actually perfect for our full flavored spectrum Chardonnay. Stacy, can you explain why Stonestreet Chardonnay can actually stand up and pair so well with this dish?
This dish offers a lot in the way of flavors. You have the chard and the veggies, and they're savory and mineral, but then you bring in the sweetness of the cipollini onions and the bold nature of the blue cheese with its intensity and brightness. We see the same myriad of flavors and textures from our vineyards. We focus on harvesting at the right time, maintaining natural acidity to give us a tension and a minerality, a little smokiness from the barrel, some spice, definitely some tropical elements from our California Chardonnay. I think our Chardonnay is going to do great standing up to not only these flavors, but enhancing some of them, especially when it comes to the blue cheese. It'll tone down the boldness of the blue cheese. The wine is going to bring a lot of sweetness to this dish, and I think the minerality here is going to be the vein where they connect on.
You know, Stacy, if we get a chance to do this dinner again, we are going to head down to San Diego and we are going to participate in this because this is just too good not to actually participate in.
I have to get my based hand on, Craig.
Right on. Yeah. We can do that. So this next course actually pairs extremely well with our estate cab and can also do double duty as a side dish with red meat proteins or served by itself as a vegetarian main. So Stacy, let's head up to Rockfall Vineyard and talk about the cab for this pairing. Chef Greg has come up with another flavor extravaganza with his hanger steak and then the charred Brussels sprouts and radicchio, crispy polenta cake with manchego cheese. So the Stonestreet Estate Cab is made in more of an old world style. We pick at a lower bricks level to kind of keep the alcohol lower than most California cabs. Stacy, with the polished tannins and the higher acid levels, how does that enhance both of the food pairings that we are doing tonight with the Estate Cab?
You know, Craig, we are making old world style wines in the way that we are harvesting earlier, and that allows us to not end up with an acidless, flabby mess of a wine that you have to drink so quickly. It's almost a rush. Our wines have a lot of fruit character, though, at the same time. We're not picking so early that you're not getting into those fruit characters. Graham harvests early to preserve acidity. Again, acid is a huge tool for wine pairing, but also in wine making. If your acid is in balance, again, if your alcohol is in balance, everything's balanced. You're not, getting anything that sort of pokes out. We're really interested in making sure that we don't have anything poke out extra when we are managing the fermentations, extracting all of those mountain-grown tannins from our fermentations. It's one of the most laborious tasks, tasting every tank and making sure we're not over-extracting. Over-extraction is bitter and angry and an assault on your mouth, and that is not something that we're looking to achieve. With this pairing, you're going to get a lot more of the graphite and savory notes from the wine with the blue cheese and the zesty flavors that come with that. It's just going to be a nice sort of comparison to see how those different and dynamic bold flavors come together. The onions are really sweet and will be a good balance to the savory and herbaceous notes. This one looks great, and again, a lot of fresh produce, so I'm stoked on that.
You know, I really like the idea of the charred Brussels sprouts with the steak. There's so many delightful flavors, beautifully rounded out with the polenta and the manchego. I truly think this pairing is sensational.
Pairing looks great. I love Brussels sprouts, and charring them with radicchio is going to make them a sort of sweet and herbaceous, but also bitter component. Then you balance the sort of more intense flavors from the wine with the creaminess of the polenta. You get the nuttiness from the manchego cheese. And the wine is just going to tie it all together with a leaner cut like the hanger steak.
So here we are at 2,200 feet. Our vineyards go to 2,400 feet. There's one more over the top of this hill, but we're talking about estate Cabernet today. So we actually have vineyards at about 1,000 feet. We have Bear Point, we have Monolith at about 1,500 feet, a couple other blocks that go into this year after year. And occasionally another block will just be so fantastic, we will blend it in. But to talk about this Rockfall vineyard, we are going to again refer to our resident expert, Stacy. Please tell us about this incredible Rockfall vineyard and what makes it so unique and special.
Well, take a look, Craig. Look at the topography of this vineyard. There's a reason why it's called Rock Fall and not Rock Sit. If you're a rock at the top of that hill, I don't want to call it a hill, it makes it smaller, but top of this mountain, it's going to be fallen because it's so steep. So again, that feeds into different elevations, different plant material, different clones, rootstocks, plantings, training types. Each of those things creates a different flavor profile in the resulting grapes. On top of that, we're fermenting everything separately, block by block, treating really each block like it's its own finished wine, giving each of those different barrel groups all the attention as though they would be a finished wine, and that really makes a huge difference come blending time. We try and assemble the estate Cabernet so we can capture all the subtle nuances of each of the elevations and the vineyards on this property.
Mountain fruit is very stressed out fruit, and I think that's really important. I always like to use the analogy that valley floor fruit is kind of like Malibu teenagers. There's plenty of alcohol, there's plenty of drugs, they're stoked, there's no stress in their lives. Where you come up to a vineyard like this where there's no topsoil, no water. Tell us about the yield. Silver Oak down below gets about 8 tons an acre. Can you tell us about the yields on this particular vineyard?
Yeah, so concentration to me is what differentiates valley floor from mountain grown grapes, and a lot of that has to do with access to water. You just mentioned topsoil. Topsoil is kind of your resource bank of nutrients and water. And once the water's gone from spring and winter rain, unless we're irrigating, they're not getting water. So controlling the irrigation is a really good way that you control the size of your grape berry. And if you reduce your grape berry size, you have more skin. The skin has all the color and all the phenolic compounds we're looking for that really pack the punch in our estate Cabernet.
You'll notice that the trellising is vertical trellising, and it's actually incredibly good for the environment. And what we learned from the horizontal trellising is when it does rain, that silt actually runs off the mountain, whatever tiny topsoil there is, and runs into the Russian River. And that's something we really want to avoid. We want to keep the Russian River clean. Whereas when we trellis like this, going up the mountain, there's very, very little runoff. You'll also notice the angle that it is towards the sun. So this is actually kind of a southeastern facing vineyard. We call this our solar panel vineyard. This gets the most sun of probably any vineyard on the mountain. It's usually harvested at the same time as our Chardonnay vineyards, which is usually unheard of. So everything about this vineyard is truly magical. The power, the concentration, yields, again, we're talking 2 tons an acre or less, whereas Valley Floor, you're getting huge grapes, huge clusters, and that's what gives the Stonestreet wines the concentration and the lovely tannins that we're looking for. You have a diurnal temperature swing, and you also have inversion, so it's usually a little cooler up here on the mountain than it is down in the valley during the day, opposite at night. So you're still going to get that nice acid backbone, but the real acid for the estate Cabernet is going to be coming at from the vineyards at 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet, because literally every single day they're covered with, or every single night I should say, they're covered with fog until about 9:30 in the morning. And to finish up, we have this incredible dark chocolate pot de creme. Stacy, why is chocolate so incredibly good with Cabernet Sauvignon?
Okay, so now I'm really jealous because this looks really good. I love a good pot de creme and a nice big inky glass of Cabernet. So chocolate has tannins in it too. So this is going to be more of a texture sort of showcase as well as some of the flavors. But guess what, folks? We're not relying on the acidity here to sort of balance anything out. Chocolate also has some natural acidity, but the two are going to match on the palate texture-wise. The wine is going to bring forth the fruitiness of the chocolate as well as any spice, and depending on the chocolate, you'll get different fruits and different levels of spice. So enjoy.
So at this point, both Stacy and I want to say thank you so much to the Wine Vault and Bistro, Chef Greg and Chris. What an honor it is to be part of your incredible presentation, and we definitely want to get down to San Diego and participate in one of these amazing pairings. Stacy?
Anytime, I'm ready.
Right on. Thank you so much, Stacy, for your expertise and your incredible in-depth knowledge of both food and wine pairing. And again, thanks to you all for participating in this wonderful event. Have a great night.
Bye.